Black Investors Podcast. This is your boy Courtney.
Z Ross here. What's going on?
What's going on, y'all? This is our new look. Yeah, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to all platforms. We do appreciate it. How you feeling today, baby boy, Ross?
Going on? I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good. Knocking out a lot of stuff, staying active, trying to, make things happen, adapt and adjust.
Adapt and adjust. I think that's the word of the decade. Sure. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good today. Feeling pretty good today. I just got a house under closing. On my real estate side, the client put 40,000 under. So I'm like, okay, these are signs that times are changing. Yeah, 40,000 under with the asking price, and they accepted. So what wasn't pretty, and it was two other people apparently. So good day, but it's also gets me to worry a little bit about the future when I see drastic drops like that that are being accepted. So I have it's a bittersweet moment, but nonetheless a good day.
Yeah. And that'll bring us to what we're going to talk about today. But I mean, just like you're saying, man, it has to adjust. The housing cost has to adjust. The price of housing has to adjust. That's really the only answer, man. That's the only answer. They're overpriced, you know what I'm saying? So we have to make a difference and change. The price has got to change. That's it.
Yeah, it does. I agree. I just hope the sellers could say that too. You know what I'm saying? Some people already are in too deep, so we can't, necessarily drop that cost but so much without having a triple effect, a dominoes effect, I should say.
No, already faced it. We went through we went through it. I'm still going through it. You come into a deal and you're thinking, all right, these are my numbers, because that's what the comps look like, the comparables look like. And you do this rehab, you do all this rehab, and then markets change. Now the prices aren't the same. So you're stuck now. You gotta lower the price. So which means you most times you lose money in that situation. And that's why I'm saying adapt and adjust. I'm not, if I'm rehabbing now, I'm not doing, all of the fancy everything rehab, everything is perfect. Nah, because everybody wants a bargain. So when I have to give you a bargain, then at the same time I can't put as much into the property if I'm gonna give you a huge discount.
That just makes sense. All right, man. Let's get into today's current topic. Today's at the taping of today's show, Sam Bankman was just sentenced to 25 years in prison. And if you don't know who Sam Bankman is, he is the gentleman who started FTX in the crypto industry, and he lost a lot of people money. A lot of people from who was in there, Ross? What celebrities that we remember? If you could,
Brady,
Tom Brady. Yep.
president. I don't know if
Who?
he was President Biden.
That's right. Yeah. He had some money in because and Bankman gave a lot of campaign money to a lot of people too. But yeah, I think LeBron has some money in there. What's the guy from Shark Tank?
Shoot. I can see his face right now. You got the bald
Mr.
head.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, yeah, Mr. Wonderful. I can't remember his real name right at this point.
Yeah, I can't think of his real name, but Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, a lot of money in it.
And it was like the Wild Wild West. It's we're gonna look back at this and it's gonna be just like the .com bubble or the .com era, and we have all of this document stuff, all of this history documented, and it just amazes me how we still just, when it sounds so good to be true, it just amazes me how much money this man had raised and how his company just valued over a short period of time. And all that money he spent it, and now he's only doing 25 years, half of what the DA wanted to give him. So,
and he's young. When he gets out, he's still got that money somewhere, man. We know that's the nature of the game. We can watch these movies that come out and see these. A lot of that has lots of facts. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we look at it and say, all right, well, he didn't just spend all that money, bro. That money
too much.
Yeah.
He had so much money he had to give it out. It was like how they used to do back in the 80s with the crack era. Like he had so much he was giving by. Take 10 million here. I got too much money, and he went in that pre-pandemic era, that 2020 to 2022, you had a lot of businesses that were valued at record high evaluations, and they were able to go to the bank and say, hey, look, my business is valued at $500,000, $1 billion. I want to take out 200 million, and banks was giving them that money essentially. And a lot of people got burnt, in the case of it, in the storm of all of this. But yeah, I think that is going to be, I don't think Bitcoin is going to change, or cryptocurrency in general is going to change. But what I do think is this did raise an alarm for the government to get in, to step in and have a lot of more regulations. It's not going to be as open.
And that's what they wanted. So it's kind of funny that it all played out like that, because they've been talking about they want to regulate it for forever. You know what I'm saying? And it's strange if you look at the markets now, how much they've grown, and since that happened, since they locked them up, over the last few weeks, and they've been going up. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I mean, Bitcoin, it was like 60, 70,000, hit 70,000. So it is it is not going down. And I just seen something the other day that the bank code, what they call SWIFT, which is an international code when you send wires and stuff, they are upgrading to their own token, which is like a US CBC coin or something like that. So the government is definitely getting involved, but they had to get the people, just like anything else, once they legalize anything, they got to get the top people away first, who basically created the industry or who know the game backwards and forwards,
You can name so many different things that same thing happened in those industries, that the government is going to want to, if they see something that has such a big impact on finances and economics, they're not going to just sit back and let it happen, what I'm saying, without having their hand in it.
And we've seen this in history, from the lotteries to numbers to alcohol to now as recent as legalized marijuana to cryptocurrency. And all of this started on the black web. Bitcoin was started on the black web. All of this started, quote unquote, in the back. Things that their government already had their hands in the first place, but now it's just like, let me really get my money and my hands in here and tax you for real. Exactly. All right, man. So with today's topic, we're going to talk about all of these big brands that probably won't be here when 2030, the next decade comes, due to a lot of the changes that is forecasting. You want to start that off, Ross? Because you're the one who sent us over the article talking about how these big brands are being replaced.
Yep. And actually a lot of them, they're not even being replaced, they're just going out of business. And so just like we talked about with the crypto thing, the same thing comes here. The world is changing, right? I'm not gonna say, unfortunately, we all don't know that. We're still stuck in everyday, redundant, go to work, do this, do that. And we don't see that. Most people do not see the change, and it's so drastic that and the government, what they do is they try to distract us with a whole bunch of different things, and we have so many distractions with other things that we're not awoke to see really what's going on. We just talked about the crypto. Now we have all these big companies. I'll name several of them: Macy's, Dollar Tree. We know a lot of the Capital Ones that wasn't even on the list. A lot of Capital Ones are closing. Every time you go to Capital One, it's closed. And those are huge banks, right? We got some of the movie theaters. We have, I don't remember all of them. What are the other ones, Courtney? Do you remember? I can look some of them up. Best Buy.
Yeah, Best Buy. No, I don't remember all of them, but I do know that the majority of retail is going out of business. The new age consumer is not even the same. People don't even want to go to malls no more. They're actually, quote unquote, frightened now. You know what I'm saying? Like, malls are like an intimidation.
That's a good point.
Most people now, they look at where they want to go to shop. They prefer like shopping malls where there's stores, like they have a store that they love. They can just hop in and out, go right in, go. They don't want to park and go in a whole big ordeal, gigantic thing. That feels very intimidating to a lot of people. The new age consumer is so used to just doing things from their phone, to where I just read that TikTok is now putting so much money into the e-commerce that they were going to be competing by Amazon by the next 2030. They will be because so many people are getting cut. Oh, I'm looking at everything on TikTok. I can also buy right from here and to be at my door within 2 days, 3 days, you know? So malls, I can see that happening just because the new age consumer does not want to shop. Like I remember growing up as a kid, right? My aunt, we were the type you could just leave her in the mall and go, and she could be in that mall all day long. Like
Bro, that's hang out as kids. Drop us off at the mall. We're gonna hang out for 3-4 hours, get something to
all
eat.
day long. You see what I'm saying? And but I'm just like kids, it was easy for us because we was being knuckleheads. But for her as a shopper, she was okay going through rack by rack. That's all I'm saying. It was, I couldn't fathom, like, yo, you were really sitting here. Yeah, you're gonna go through the shoes, you're gonna ask them, can you bring back this pair? And you know, if you look back at your 90s sitcoms, that was a lot of women were like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the thing. These new women right now, I don't see that. I don't see any of my younger cousins or family or my friends. My parents who was raised in that, they shop probably more Amazon more than I do. You know what I'm saying? Shoot.
I don't know the last time you've been into a mall during the week. Go during, because on the weekend it's gonna be some people there. Bro, I was at the mall the other day during the week. It was like a ghost town in that joint. I'm trying to tell you, it was empty. So you have to think about it when we're talking about all these stores closing. You have to turn lights on. You have to pay employees. You know, you got to rent the space. You know, somebody has to clean it,
maintain it. That's right.
All these expenses that, as a company, as a business model, why would say, I can just start an online business. Why do I got to pay all this money for this overhead for a brick and mortar? And that's the main reason why they're closing. The good point that you brought up was this: people are being scared, you know, and that's going to get worse. Like we got all these mass shootings. You hear about them all the time. People are not going to want to go into the malls and things like that if they're afraid they're going to get shot every time they go into the doggone mall. You know, so it's the same.
And then we didn't even touch on the fact that you know, AI is getting more innovative and creative. So it's understanding our shopping habits, which is going to make everything even quote unquote more convenient. You know, Amazon is now selling cars. So they're going to put the small mom and pop out of business. Eventually, you're going to be able to do everything, buy a house on Amazon, or whatever, some e-commerce type of platform. And
they're selling houses too. Did you know that they're selling houses? Amazon.
I wanted to. I didn't quite. I seen it clickbait, but I didn't want to bring it up quite yet but I definitely did hear that. I definitely did hear that.
Little tiny small homes.
Yep. Yeah, the little tiny homes. Yeah, I did see that. So the world is changing now. As an investor, as you alluded to from the beginning of this podcast episode, adapt and pivot is the name of an investor's game. That is like investing 102. You know what I'm saying? Like supply and demand is 101. 102 got to be adapt and pivot, knowing when to adapt and when to pivot. I think there are still going to be room for opportunity. And I'm a firm believer, if you can solve a problem, you know, you will be wealthy. Somebody's going to have to solve a problem to do with all this empty retail space. You have a lot of, what are you going to do when these malls close, or these Best Buys close, or this Macy's close? What are you going to do?
Yeah, and unfortunately what's going to happen is these people that own these big the shopping centers with the big boxes in them, they're going to lose out a lot. And I was just thinking as we were talking, the model now is, and if you remember, Courtney, Springfield Mall in Virginia, you know, that's a mall that was empty for a long time. And what they're doing now is to those malls, they're basically tearing them down, right? They may put a Target in one space, and what they do is they tear them down and they make them into strip malls with like eating areas, restaurants. So they're making it almost like a community, a park situation versus just a mall, you know. And they're doing it on 6. They're doing that Highway 6. They're doing that whole thing, all the strip malls.
I think that is where the world is going. It's kind of funny. We're going back to where we actually started from. Yeah. We started from a tribal community-based mindset, upbringing. Then for like a century, we tried to do this, we grew so fast from the 1900s to the 2000, and you built out these suburban areas, and you tried to build out, and you went far and left and wide, and you realized I'm isolating myself. You know what I'm saying? And you need a community base to live. Nothing is, if you go to other countries, we was talking about this earlier, they've been tribal type based. They never had that major mall or that, big suburban. They've always had small, local, intimate type of settings, because they realize that's where you grow and thrive. That other big stuff don't have no sustainability, really. It's too intimidating. It's too massive to create opportunities for massive shootings and XYZs. You know what I'm saying? And I think America is really burnt out.
It's funny because when you brought that up, this made me think. So when we look at other countries, like anybody that's traveled abroad, other countries are a lot more social, even to this day, with all AI and social media. We are desocializing our society. So I don't want to go into the mall and talk to people and see people and hang around people. I want to be in my living room, nobody around but the people, my family, so on and so forth. And I don't want to deal with any other people. And that's a part of another big part of it. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to socialize.
Yeah. Yeah. They created an atmosphere that allows us freedom not to. We don't have to socialize and still go about our day to day. This cell phone that we have every day is our bubble that is created. The algorithms has created our own bubbles that we can live in. But I do think other societies, who were around longer than 1492, they realized the danger of technology. And when you try to isolate people, when you try to go too big, too fast, they've seen empires fall already. China's seen empires. So now they kind of stick to that small, small intimate atmosphere. They don't, and whenever they find themselves leaning towards the American way, they kind of be like, I shouldn't. But that greed is so tempting. They all come over here and they see this thing like a cash cow, and they're like, man, it's so tempting over there. But they do realize this has no real sustainability, because you have to be a tribal mindset. You know what I'm saying? You have to. Tribals have been since the day of time, since the beginning of time. We've all been whenever we left, we did it as a community. We did everything as my neighbor. And I think we're getting back to that. Some of us are, but as a society, they're not creating a easy path to get there.
I think it's a struggle with like the older generation, right? They want to get back to that, but the younger generation, who is taking over, obviously, and rightfully so. That's how society always works. The younger generation takes over, and their mindset is that we don't want to be around people. We can play our video game, sit in our room, and we can play video game with people all over the world, and I ain't never got to see them. Bruh, let me tell you this, and this is gonna blow your mind. I went to a wedding, right? Person that I think you met the young lady, it's our niece, right? She got married. So the best man, well, let me say all of the groomsmen and the best man of the young man she was married, he met all of them online playing video games, never met them face to face. And these are the people that are in his wedding. I was like, how? This is crazy. Wow. That is wild. You know what I'm saying? And they're in his wedding. People in your wedding are your close people, your brothers.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People face to face outside of online interaction.
Wow. Yeah. That's just, but what I've noticed, and you mentioned it earlier, like our world over here, we don't have to leave. They've created where we can just stay at home, and the government, we don't focus on the youth in a sense, as other societies. I guarantee if any of those other, I'm not gonna say I guarantee you, but I'm willing to strongly bet, like place a nice bet that if those other gentlemen who he met that was around the world, if they were from outside of America, they probably had a little bit more social skills better than they did. Because one thing that they do over there as a community, everybody eats with their family. Everybody takes lunch. Everybody, it's like it's a cultural thing. Whereas over here, it's not in our culture. We don't have to do any of that. It was like that even when I was growing up, like the table tray industry changed the game. And I remember my dad hated that because he was like, we're not eating at a table no more. You want to go in this room, you want to go over there. And now we're missing that, that family connection and that love, which helps us grow and create and revolutionize things. You know what I'm saying? It's like for real.
And you're right. That's a great point because this progression has been going on for many years, right? First it was the TV, right? Like you said, go in a room. I want to watch this. I want to watch that. So now we in separate rooms. We're watching.
Yeah.
And now with the technologies, it's going even faster.
That's right. But I look at other countries, and again, my Middle Eastern brothers and sisters, they still eat as a family together. And they have all the technology. They still, you know what I'm saying? But one thing their government do, they definitely censor it a lot more than they censor over here. Their government is in the youth life. Like you can't get on TikTok. I pulled it up. TikTok is not allowed in a lot of countries until you're like 14. Over here, I want to say like 8 or some ridiculous age. There's no real censorship over here. As other countries, they realize the kid's brain isn't developed yet to even put this type of device, this tool that is this strong and powerful in this child's life. And we're seeing ramifications of putting this in kids' life at an early age. But then you look at other countries and other societies, you realize, oh, they having a much more control over how their internet and their social media is regulated. And I think until we see enough of our kids messing up, they're not going to do anything. But let's go back to the topic as we started with all these big brands that are not going to be here. As an investor, what do we want to leave the listener to? What should they do, far as an investor? How should they invest in this new market, in the new decade going forward?
I mean, in my opinion, again, it's just my opinion. I think unless you're a big dog, like you can tear down a whole shopping center and make it into a park and restaurants that have outdoor eating. If you notice, all restaurants have outdoor eating areas now. That's a part of the new trend as well, and that happened with COVID. But unless you're a big person like that, I would say I would hold off on investing in any commercial real estate, any of your small strip malls, any of those type of things, because again, with AI, technology is changing, and people are gonna first want to start their business online. It's a lot cheaper to do that, and you just have to see where it goes. So I would stay away from, trying to go buy a strip mall. Everybody was like, oh, I want to get a commercial real estate. But commercial real estate right now is really on a decline.
It is. I would agree. When the Feds held the rates and had their meeting last week, Jerome Powell did allude to the fact that a lot of these regional banks who invested heavy in commercial real estate will fail. A lot of these regional banks, not big banks, not your Bank of America, your PNC, but the small regional banks who does a lot of their investing in the commercial space, whether it is multifamily or strip mall. He said a lot of them will fail. So I would agree with Ross and say I would not invest in that whatsoever because the upcoming future is not bright. Now, one piece of information that I would leave you with is being creative and collaborating can definitely help solve these issues. I do think if you can say, okay, well, how can I take this space and solve a problem? One of our biggest problems is housing. How can you solve this problem? Could you create some type of new space in the mall? And do you think it is an audience or a buyer who would live in a mall? Some type of space like that, where you could utilize this space and work with the government. I remember hearing someone says that the government is your business partner. They're your biggest. They may not give you quote unquote capital, or they may not give you business ideas, but they will partner up with you if you can solve a need. They will give you tax benefits, tax incentives. They will work with you as one of your biggest business partners. So what does that mean for you? You have to think. We have to think outside the box. Think with other people. collaborate with other creatives. And I do think it's a lot of opportunities. With all of this downfall, it does create a land of opportunity for the creatives. If you could be creative enough and partner with people, like I just said, living in a mall, like they're doing that places like down here, turning old churches into apartments, old commercial, even back home at the DMV area, they're doing old commercial buildings into real estate and into residential real estate. And I think the newer generation would be cool living in a spot like that, if you could make it affordable.
No, and that's again that's something that can't go unsaid, and something that we definitely mention as far as when they're talking about investing. So if you have that big dollar, you can, and we've seen it happen, just like you just said. They'll take that mall, and I'm just thinking of one in my mind on Rockville Pike, White Flint, big high-end mall in Bethesda area. What they did is they kept one big couple stores at the bottom, and they tore down the rest of it and turned it into an apartment building.
Yes, I'm saying. Yeah.
That's European model. When you go to Europe or when you go overseas, they have a store below, an apartment at the top. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a good model that is going to change as far as the shopping mall is concerned.
So I just think we just got to get creative, especially as Black people. We got to, and we don't have a lot of capital, so we have to partner. We don't have a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might be someone who has the capital who's 60 years old. So he's facing a little bit time issue, whereas the innovator may be 20 years old, so we got to collab. Somebody got to link the two together. Somehow we have to partner in order to create, because there's definitely opportunity in with all this new change. It's going to be, because what's going to happen if you have all these leftover malls, crime is going to go up. Somebody's going to occupy it. Believe that. So I think that's good for today. You got anything going on, Ross, you want to leave the people with? You still got the book out?
They got the book out, The House of Ross Built. I'm actually working on a couple others, how to raise money and just my story in general. So stay tuned for that. Obviously we got lots of things going on. I'm actually going to be doing it here at probably the end of April. I'm going to be doing a presentation in front of a larger group of wealth, higher end employees, let's say, higher end W-2 people that are interested in investing in, apartment buildings, so on and so forth. So I got that coming up. I'll keep you guys tuned. But we're adapting to those type of things. The traditional flipping, buying, that those things are they're never going to go away, but it's just going to be far and few between where you can make profit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, great. For me, when if you still as a real estate agent, a lot of people moving in the Houston area, make sure you want to reach out to me if you have any questions. My background is banking, and I have been an agent for over 5 years, going about 7 years now. So a lot of people moving down here, reach out to me. The Black Investors Podcast, you'll get in touch with me through there. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. We appreciate all the great support, the feedback. Don't forget to leave the reviews and subscribe to all of our platforms. On that note, we're going to be out. Don't forget, it's two things we're going to stay in. That's Black
Investors. Peace.
Black Investors Podcast. This is your boy Courtney.